I got a really stupid problem, wherein I bought myself that welder down there a long time ago because the price was right, and then I realized I'm not actually all that good at welding. But thankfully, I got this guy. That's Toasty. He's pretty good at this, and he's offered, through coercion and being kidnapped at my house, to help me out. We're gonna replace the cats on this car because I'm also kind of dumb when it comes to setting up fuel tables, and I burned out my old cats, and I don't like the way it smells now. So I got brand new cats. They're federally certified whatever stuff, so they're actually the good stuff. We'll zonk them in there, take you along for the ride. Future editing shovel here. I apologize, this video is a little bit disjointed and doesn't exactly come in for the smoothest of landings, but Toasty was just up here for the weekend and we were screwing around in northern Idaho, going swimming and that kind of stuff, and we decided kind of off the cuff to do this, welding thing, and didn't really plan it out in advance, so it just kind of is what it is. I'm gonna refer back to it later on when I'm doing welding stuff, because I still don't really know what I'm doing, and it was really nice of him to come up here and help. If you want to see more of Toasty, harass him down in the comments below, and I'll make sure he sees it. The welder in question is a Vevor MIG 200. It looks like that when it's on its side. You open up the side of it, and that's where you stick your spool of wire. Toasty's hiding the wire behind his leg for some reason. Toasty's got the wire. He's gonna cram it in there. That's flux core wire. I don't know anything about what it is. What kind of wire is that?
It's a gasless flux core, similar to Lincoln NR211, as my guess. It's got a different name, so GS something or other, but I have a feeling I know what it is.
So if that's like somebody just wants to start putting together parts and pieces, but they don't really know very much, that's a pretty good wire to start with?
Yeah. It'll do a lot of things for not a lot of amperage, so it's pretty good. It's just very slow and not as pretty as some of the other wires.
That's good, because I don't actually have a lot of amperage. Out here at the garage, I've got 20 amp service at 110 volts, and I don't have 220 service. This is a dual voltage welder, so you can hook it up either way. It comes with the adapter cord. That's what this bad boy right here is. But we're just gonna use the regular 110. It's already set up from the factory, and right now Toasty is plugging in the parts. What is it right there that you just did with those there wires?
I hooked up the wire for the liner, or the whipper itself, onto the positive side, and then we have our negative hooked up to our ground. Because we're just using the regular gasless wire, we're not doing anything weird like hard facing or aluminum, so we want straight polarity.
Okay, so the reason you would change that polarity is if you're going from steel to aluminum, basically?
Yeah, or like a hard facing wire, which is for abrasion resistance, you would use usually a reverse polarity for that too.
What happens if you get that backwards? What's the consequence?
Nothing bad happens. Just doesn't weld as good. It doesn't weld correctly for your application. So if
it splatters more, or what? You get more air pockets?
You would get for a surfacing kind of thing, you would get a weld that sank in, and you wouldn't want that because you're trying to build out for abrasion resistant type of stuff. If you were working on your backhoe or your lawnmower edge, and you're trying to make it undefeatable.
See, that's why I got someone who actually knows what they're doing, because I would have never ever just figured that out on my own. Nice box. All right, so that shoves in there, and you got to somehow feed it into this here mechanism, right?
Yeah, I need your wire cutters.
Oh, you do not want that to explode.
Do not want that. Keep it tight.
I've had network cable boxes explode like that, and then all of a sudden your day is bad. All right, so this thing's got a whole bunch of controls and whatever on it, and I could probably stumble through that a little bit. I know what wire speed is and stuff like that, but tell me how to set this thing up for just basic, the stuff we're doing right now.
I started it out with MIG manual because that's what we're doing, and then you can change the different wire types. We're on flux, we're not using stainless steel or anything else.
And that just shows a number 55. What does that mean? Or is that how many amps it's the current?
Supposedly.
Okay.
I don't really trust the DROs on welding machines. They're kind of all over the place, so I kind of just feel them out. And some of them will have a chart on the inside panel to kind of give you a reference of where to start, and then each machine's kind of its own thing. Also, this is a dual voltage machine, so it can also run on the 220, which would change all the parameters and everything. But the odd thing on this one was the wire diameter. They're in millimeters, which isn't really common. For anything you buy is always going to be from Home Depot or welding supply stores, going to be 035, 030, those kinds of things. And these are 1 millimeter or 0.8 millimeters. And so that kind of threw me off a little bit. There's also a trigger setting, 2T, and usually that's the trigger lock, so you either push, and when you let go it stops, and then the other one will be, it just runs. You click it, and then click it again to get it to stop.
These might look like catalytic converters, and they used to be at some point, but because I was a bonehead when I was setting up the ECU on this car, these things got burned out, and I had to end up kind of like just pushing the maracas all the way out through the back of them so that it wouldn't just sit there rattling forever and make me crazy. So these are just hollow shells. These are kind of like what you would expect if someone kind of did a DIY cat delete without actually deleting the cat. But I'm going to undelete the cats. I'm putting brand new ones in. So I have to disconnect this up here where the sleeve is, and this just slides out of the way. And then back here at these ball socket things that connect it to the cat back. And then this thing will just drop right down. Yeah. That's the part that's going to go and get... Oh, wait, no, that's not even cool. I was going to say that's the part we're going to fix, but then, like, I ran out of things to say with my mouth.
Can you do it again?
No, it's fine.
Okay, cool. Normally I'm a lot more safe than this, but these are my vacation clothes and safety gear.
Whatever you get hurt on vacation, like, it just stays there. Like, you're fine when you get home.
Right. So we'll just weld that on there just like that.
Neat.
And that should hold our angles.
So the next thing you're going to do here is you're going to, as you mentioned earlier, weld that bad boy on there, and then that's going to keep these things oriented correctly to each other so that when we replace these kind of structural parts of it, we'll be able to just plug it back up in there, maybe make some very slight tweaks, and it'll fit back where it came out.
Yep. Alright, I want to kind of get some more power here. I just thought of.
Because it could be in metric. Metric amperage.
It's sometimes they have they'll put amperage for their wire speed, and so that one says A, and so I'm like, oh, that's amperage, like this is the current we're trying to put out, and it might actually mean like how much wire I'm flowing out. And it's hard to tell because it doesn't want to do the thing until it's presumably sensing something. So I'm gonna figure it out and see if I can just play with it a little bit more. Damn, dude, we're putting out some amperage now. Pretty decent.
We blew it up.
I think we hit your breaker's limit. That's all right though. That's probably good enough.
And this is like the thickest thing we're going to weld, so later, like, it's going to be all right because we're not going to be asking the breaker for that much.
Yeah, this is almost wide open for the machine. This is like everything it's got. So what we'll do next is we'll fit it all back together, but before we do that, we'll take all of your remnants that you cut off that you don't need anymore, and then I'm going to dial the machine into exactly those things so we get the best possible weld out of the machine for the actual job we're doing versus the pieces and the test setup and making the little bar fit. Because none of that was really super important.
So now that we got the welder kind of dialed in from before and you figured out what all the controls are, it's got plenty of horsepower to do it, right? Like.
Oh yeah, we're in the green for having enough power to do everything.
Cool. We're
asking a lot of it when we were welding those heavy bars on there. but not that much. We didn't hit the duty cycle. We hit the duty cycle for the breaker before we hit the duty cycle for the welder, so that's pretty good.
Yeah. Anyway, this thing right here, we cut right in the middle of the weld, and that's the hardest place to cut it, which feels really, really dumb, but I bet there's a smart reason for it. What is the smart reason for that?
Because we needed a very precise measurement to put this back together exactly the way it came apart.
So that's the whole reason we cut on the really, really difficult part. It wasn't like because of any like structural reason, it was just for measurement's sake.
Yep.
Well, there you go. See, I wouldn't have known that. I would have just like cut the easy part of this and then tried to make it up by being dumb on the other side.
Yeah, we didn't really have a whole lot of makeup material to do that.
Yeah. You see why I brought this guy? It's important when you take things out to remember what orientation they went in, and we had to actually go back through and kind of recheck that just to make sure, because if we welded all this stuff back upside down, I would need to go to the store and buy new blades, because I totally blew through all my blades trying to cut the cats out. And also, you did a whole bunch of work that you're not getting paid for, except food maybe.
Oh, we broke it off in you for the food, totally.
So Toasty tacked this thing together just enough so that we can make sure that it's all the right shape, and what I'm going to do is see if these parts here are pointed in the same direction so that these sleeves will slide right over them. If they do, there's quite a lot of wiggle room back there, and there's quite a lot of wiggle room on where these guys here connect it to the body. So let's see what we got. These gloves are not sexually attractive. I'm not aroused by these gloves. All right, so that's up there, and this slide, dude, perfect. Which I guess we expected because that's what this bar was for.
That is what that bar was for.
And then these guys here, there's a lot of wiggle room there, and these donuts have room here for that. Yeah, we're money. Now that we verified that this is going to fit exactly where it needs to underneath the car, we're going to go ahead and weld it. Well, Toasty is going to weld it all the way around to make sure that it's airtight so I don't die of any kind of asphyxiation or CO2 poisoning. And then we'll stick it back up underneath there, and then we'll make a bunch of exciting vroom vroom noises. If you want to see more of this guy on the internet, you could probably check out this video. Which video? I never remember. This is going to be a thing for me. I never remember which side. Anyway, there's going to be a link somewhere up there to a video from Montana Montero, who I've never met in person, but he has, and he's in a video.
We're going to weld it in a bunch of different spots at a bunch of different times and let it cool between those times, so then that way our angles and everything kind of stay the same, because as you weld, things move.
How do you feel about the duty cycle on this? We're just going to wait till it decides on its own that you've asked too much of it, or?
Yeah, I didn't look at the back to see how many, percentages of duty cycles it can do, but
well, and that's going to vary with like how much you're actually asking, right? And that's like a million different things.
And we're not asking a whole lot of it right now, so I think we'll probably make this whole thing. I'm gonna throw another weld on that one. Pretty decent welds for barely $200.
Man, and I don't even get anything for endorsing this thing. Now that we've got this all welded, I keep on saying we when that guy actually did the work, but now that Toasty's got this all welded, he's pretty sure that there's not going to be any kind of leaks. And that's what we got there. I'm certain that if there's somebody who watches this who welds professionally, they're probably going to say some judgy stuff in the comments. And you know what? That's engagement. I'll take it. Welding's all done. And now I've got to sit here and grind away at that stuff right there that we used to make that little bar, which kind of holds it straight for us to be able to get it all in there right. One thing that's a dang shame is that Vevor welder there apparently is pretty darn good for the price I paid. I don't remember exactly what I paid, but it was like in the low 200s. And it apparently pretty good.
Pretty good.
So I don't have any affiliation with Vevor. I wish I did, because then I could put up a coupon code and I could get a discount or whatever. I don't know. But unfortunately, I just honestly bought it, and apparently it's pretty all right. So score for me. Now, if the welds that I do in the future are bad, I can't even blame the equipment. I got to just like own that. This is actually like not a bad angle for this. I mean, it's probably a bad angle for film, but like this actually is pretty cozy for like doing the work.
I'd help, but I got a job.
Yeah, you're busy. You're a busy, hard-working man. All right, now these guys here go over the hot things and like burn my fingers and stuff. There we go. Push this up, shove that in. Oh, perfect fit. Nice. And scroll down here, and I go like that. Give it one of these. Go like that. I give it kind of one of those also, but better. Now that the cats and mid-pipe are all back inside of it, I'm kind of a filthy savage right now, and I don't want to get inside my car all crusty like that. Toasty's in there getting himself cleaned up right now. I'm going to clean myself up. We're going to start it up, listen to it, make sure it sounds good, and make sure it drives good. All right, moment of truth, dude. We got this thing all back installed inside here, and we tested it for leaks, and we're both reasonably confident that we didn't screw it up, but we're also human. So, time to start it up, see what it sounds like, and see if we both die immediately of carbon monoxide poisoning, in which case, I hope my wife posts this anyways, because that'll be good content. We're both cleaned up and marginally less filthy. The car's running, as you can probably hear from all the sounds that are happening in your ear hole. We're gonna go take it for a little drive and make sure that it feels pretty all right to drive. It doesn't like explode and like start doing stuff we don't want it to do, and maybe even report whether or not it stinks pretty yet. Like I said at the top of this video, it wasn't something we planned out. It was just sort of something we talked ourselves into while Toasty was visiting here, kind of for more recreational purposes. But I got some work out of him, which is kind of cool. We fed him a whole bunch of food, and I learned quite a bit. That's the best part. So now I know that Welder is actually pretty good. And again, not endorsed or sponsored or anything. I am going to put an affiliate link down below in case you want to buy this. So if you click buy from it, you'll get it from Amazon. I'll get a couple dollars from Jeff Bezos. You know how that works. If you don't want to buy it from Amazon, click the link, get the model number, and then search for it wherever you usually buy stuff. It's actually a pretty good welder, in a pretty respectable dude's opinion. I gotta believe him. Anyway, whole project worked out super well. If you want to check out Toasty some more, check out this this link from Montana Montero, where he's on there like talking about some of the stuff he does. He also has his own YouTube channel, but he doesn't really put much on it. I'll let you find it on your own. Later on, when he's all big and famous and stuff, maybe he'll toss me a bone. Thanks for watching.